good morning, children. Hope you are doing fine. So, in the last session, we have learnt about the crop rotation methods and also the mixed crops, right? So, today we are going to learn about a topic which is really very important to us, and the topic is nitrogen fixation. So, basically, nitrogen fixation, right? So, that means fixing of the nitrogen. So, basically, 78% of the air is full of nitrogen. Now, if the air, it has 78% of nitrogen, then why it need to be fixed? Okay, now if there are, now this nitrogen is, if it is required, already we have learned that this nitrogen, it's very important for plant. It is the macronutrient. Okay, so it's a macronutrient. So as it is a macronutrient, so what happens here is, and the plant needs it, right? And now because 78% of nitrogen is in the air, now the plants can take it, isn't it? So it is taking the oxygen, it is taking the carbon dioxide for photosynthesis and oxygen for the respiration process. So in the same way, they can also take the nitrogen. Now, if they are able to take the nitrogen, why it need to be fixed? Now that's the question in our mind. So now we'll try to answer that particular question, right? So now we'll come to the nitrogen fixation. So the topic which you are going to learn is the nitrogen fixation. So basically, we know the leguminous plants, right? That means the plants which belong to the leguminaceae, right? To the family leguminaceae. So you can take the pea plants, peanuts, that is groundnuts, soya beans, okay? All plants which belong to the bean family, and walnuts, so pea, groundnuts, okay, and even tamarind also, right? So there are several examples which you can take for the leguminaceae family here. So all these, and even you can take the lentils also, you can take the chickpea also. So all these are the different examples of the leguminous plants. Now, what is the importance of the leguminous plants and what it has to do with the nitrogen fixation? That is what we are going to study now. So remember all these plants: tamarind, pea, groundnut, soya beans, beans, lentils, chickpea. Okay, all these are the examples of the plants which belong to the family called as leguminaceae, right? So now here, when you talk about the nitrogen fixation here, so now this is the roots of the leguminous plants. These are the roots of the leguminous plants. Okay, so now as these are the roots of the leguminous plants, and on the roots, what you can see here is the root nodules. You can see kind of nodules on the roots like this. Okay, so you can see nodules like this, which are called as the root nodules. Okay, so now these root nodules are occupied, there are several bacteria which reside in the root nodules of these leguminous plants. Several bacteria which are also called as the nitrogen fixing bacteria, or they are also called as the azotobacter. Okay, so these are the different kinds of bacteria which are living in the root nodules, right? So they come and they reside in them, and what they do is they take the food material. They take the food material which is coming from the phloem. So they depend on that. That means now these are like a parasitic nature. They have a parasitic nature, but now they don't want to be parasites. So because they are taking the food, okay, so and they are getting benefit from the plant. Now they also want to help the plant. Now whatever the air pores are here, the air comes inside, and the air will be in between this porous soil. Okay, so what are the bacteria which are here? What they will do is they will convert this nitrogen, which is around 78%, and this nitrogen cannot be taken by the plant directly. The plants cannot take this 78% of nitrogen, whatever is in the atmosphere, directly, as it is taking the oxygen and as well as the carbon dioxide. So it need to be converted. If the plant has to take that, it need to be converted, it need to be fixed. So for that reason, what happens here is this nitrogen which is in the air, when it comes into the porous soil like this, and all this air whatever is here, and that air will have the nitrogen also, right? So this nitrogen will be fixed by the bacteria. That means how they are fixed, this nitrogen, the atmospheric nitrogen is converted to salts, that is nitrates and nitrites. So this atmospheric nitrogen is converted into what? Nitrates and nitrates. These are the salts now, right? Now already we have known that whenever you pour water, what happens? The salts will get mixed with the soil, right? They will get dissolved in the water and then will be absorbed by the plant. So the water which you pour will dissolve this salts, and that dissolved water, will be taken by the plant. So what happens here is the nitrogen which is in the form of salts will also go into the plant. So nitrogen usually helps in the growth of the plant. It builds the plant, it helps in the growth of the plant. That is how the bacteria are helping the plant. So here you can see a symbiotic relationship. What you can see here? You can see a symbiotic relationship here. That means this plant is getting it is preparing the food, and that is being taken by the bacteria. In turn, it is converting the nitrogen into nitrates and nitrates, and again it is giving it to the plant. So that is how bacteria are helping the plant and plant is helping the bacteria. That's why we call it as a symbiotic relationship, right? So you can see these both are the symbionts, right? They are undergoing a process called as symbiosis. So there is a parasitic nature also. Already we have seen in the first lessons that bacteria live in them and cause harm to the plant. So a kind of parasitism. It is because it is living in it, it is getting the benefit and is also harming the organism. So that those kind of organisms are called as the parasites. But whereas here these are called as the symbionts because they are living in them, they are taking the food, at the same time they are also converting the nitrogen into nitrates and helping the plant. So that is how both are getting benefited. So when both are getting benefited, we call that relationship as symbiotic relationship. So this is the best example for the symbiosis. Okay children, so now we understood that these leguminous plants will give out the nitrogen. So now whatever the plant, whatever the crops you take, now if they have to grow, what is required here? Nitrogen is required. So as nitrogen is required, so what the farmers will do is they will use the leguminous plants along with the crop plants. What is the reason behind that? Because if they use the leguminous plants, there will be free nitrogen, right? They need not use the nitrogen directly from outside. So the nitrogen will be directly produced by the leguminous plants and will be added to the soil, and that soil which is full of nitrates and nitrate salts, and also whenever you pour water, it get dissolved in the water and that will be taken by the other plants also, not by the same plant. So that is how the crop is getting benefited because of the nitrogen. That is the nitrogen fixing bacteria which are living in the leguminous plants. So that's why they love to plant the leguminous plants here and there so that they can get the free nitrogen. Okay children, so nowadays the bacterial culture is also available, right? So what they do is they mix the bacteria with the seeds. So the plants which are grown out of the seeds, now they're able to produce more nodules on the roots. So the number of nodules they produce, the number of bacteria will survive in that, and they will produce the nitrogen for the soil and also for the plant. So that is how bacterial culture is now available. Second one is the blue-green algae culture is also available. So this blue-green algae, what they do is they add nitrogen to the soil. So there is no need of extra nitrogen to be added in the crops, and also if you are able to add the blue-green algae in the soil, right? So what they will do is they will prepare the nitrogen. They are able to get the nitrogen, right? So that is how blue-green algae also is useful now. And coming to these cereals. So cereals, when they are planted along with the leguminous plants, so whatever the nitrogen which is required for the growth of cereal crops, because cereal crops usually require more amount of nitrogen here. So, and because the leguminous crops are here, they will keep on giving the required amount of nitrogen. So you need not completely depend upon the nitrogen from outside sources. You need not put them in the soil. You need not add nitrogen to the soil, because already leguminous plants are providing the maximum amount of the nitrogen to the soil, so that the cereal plants can easily survive, and also they can get the more amount of the nitrogen. But it is not the same case like no phosphorus or potassium. It is not at all produced in this way where the nitrogen is produced. So nitrogen is produced by the nitrogen, I mean, it is converted to nitrates and nitrates by the leguminous plants, but whereas nothing will happen with the phosphorus and potassium. So if those levels are decreased in the soil, basically what you need to do is you need to add them back to the soil from the outside sources. So you need to get the organic manure from outside, or the chemical fertilizers from outside, and add them back to the soil, so that the soil will have the required amount of the phosphorus and also the potassium. So now children, now we'll go ahead with the another topic, which is called as the organic manure. So you might have seen the shepherds, like no, they will take the sheep or goats and all into the fields, right? Now what is the purpose of taking them to the these fields? And also because when they go for excretion, all the feces which fall down, they will be added to the soil, and they add much more nutrients to the soil. So it lessens the burden of the farmer to buy the required amount of potassium or the other required nutrients, so that he can add to the soil. So that will become reduced, because most of the nutrients, so like they will be added by the animals itself. So what are the excreted material of the animals is there, right? They will be added back to the, they will add to the soil, and that is how nutrients also will be added back to the soil. So most of the time the organic manure, like no, it consists of the animal wastage or the plant wastage. So what are the plants waste is there, like no, what are the animal wastage is, when it is mixed with the soil, all of them, like no, they will get mixed up with the soil, and they will get degraded, and also they will become soil, right? So all the nutrients will get into the soil, and whenever you plant the trees over there, they grow very well. And here we are not using any fertilizer chemicals here, right? So we are doing it completely naturally. So the organic manure is like, what are the manure which you are producing now, it is produced organically, right? We are not using any kind of chemicals in that. So this manure is usually called as the organic manure. Okay children, so this organic manure is more better when you compare it to the artificial manure, because you are getting it completely naturally. You are getting this complete thing completely naturally. Okay children, so that is one of the point. And now what if this organic manure is there, right now, and also whatever the organic material is there in the soil, in the top layers, no, like it is called as the humus. So because of this humus, the water holding capacity, the water holding capacity, and also the natural manure, so because of the humus which is already present in the soil, because of that the water holding capacity of the soil and also the natural manure in the soil will definitely increase. So that is the reason why we are need to we maximum we have to use only the organic manure rather than the artificial manure. So when you talk about the natural organic manures, they can be divided into two types. If you talk about the natural organic manures, they can be divided into two types. Okay children, so the first one is macro organic manure and the concentrated organic manure. So here the first one is concentrated organic manure, and here the second one is the macro organic manure. So the natural organic manure, whatever we prepare, like it will be of two types. One is the concentrated organic manure, and second one is the macro organic manure. Okay, so here when you come to the concentrated organic manure, you know, whatever the manure which comes up from the groundnuts, gingerly, okay, castor, coconut, neem, okay. So groundnut, gingerly, castor, coconut, neem, okay, and also the jatropha, the biodiesel plant. So from all these things, so whatever the manure you prepare, that will be called as the concentrated organic manure. So all these are the examples of the concentrated organic manure, right? So all these remains, so like they can be used as the fodder in animal husbandry. So to rear the animals, so the animal rearing, this fodder can be used. Okay, so not only for cattle but also for the poultry. For the cattle, for the poultry, so what are the remains of these things are there, like they can be used as the fodder. That is, fodder is nothing but the food. Okay, so this is about the concentrated organic manure. So what is the manure you get from this? Groundnut, gingerly, castor oil, coconut, neem and jatropha plants, so like they will be called as the concentrated organic manure. Okay, they can be used as fodder in the animal rearing. Okay, so for the poultry and also for the animals and all. So the next one is the macroorganic manure. Okay, so this animal excreta, and also the plant remains, and third one is the deep litter. So these are the three which are very, very important, macroorganic manure, because the nutrients which are here now, they are absolutely rich in the concentrated organic manures rather than the macroorganic manure. So here they are more concentrated, they are more rich. This concentrated organic manure is more rich here when you compare with the macroorganic manure. Here, what are the animal excretory waste materials are there, they will be converted into the manure. So what are the plant remains are there, they will be converted into the manure. So whenever you talk about the deep litter, so what is deep litter? For example, if you have gone to a poultry farm and all, so there will be place for them to stay. So there will be some grass and also there will be some dry things and all, okay, and all the hens will be over there and they will be leaving the excretory material. So whatever the excretory material they get here, okay, that all will be added in the soil. So that is nothing but which is called as the deep litter. So this deep litter or maybe plant remains or the animal excreta, all these are the best examples for the macroorganic manure. So these are the two different kinds of the natural organic manures. So basically farmers usually they depend upon the they depend upon the artificial manures. And also now here, by this we can come to a conclusion that we can prepare our own manure. So plants and remains of the plants and the excretory material of the animals and also whatever you get, you can prepare the organic manure, that is considered. You can prepare the concentrated organic manure or else you can prepare the macroorganic manure. So both you can prepare and that can be used in the crops and also that will definitely increase the fertility of the soil. Okay children, so by this we come to the end of this today's session and we'll meet in the next session with a new topic. Okay children, until then, see you all, have a great day.